What's up guys, it's Mario here. In this video, I want to share with you 3 things I wish I knew when I first started out about staying consistent with my healthy habits. And if I knew these things back in the day, I would have gotten results much faster, I would have been much happier, I would have enjoyed the process much more. And this is something I'm grateful now to be able to share with you guys. And it actually got inspired by a question that I just got recently on a live Instagram Q&A, and I'm doing these every once in a while. And the question was, what would I tell myself? What are some of the things and the 3 things that I could tell myself and tell someone else that would improve their consistency? I mean, we're all interested in living a healthy lifestyle. Things like being on point with your calories, your macros, getting that protein amount every single day, making sure that you're getting those reps in consistently in the gym, making sure that you're getting to bed on time, getting that adequate amount of sleep, meditation, things like cold showers, like fasting. All these great habits are something that we want to implement and integrate in our life. And consistency is really the king. If you're not consistent with these things, they're not going to give you the result. And even if they do give you the result a little bit, it's not going to be a long-term thing. So how do we do this? And here are the 3 things that I wish I knew that would have enhanced my life a lot more. So let's start off with the number 1. And that is self-efficacy. I wish I had much more belief in myself that I can actually achieve the goal. And this might sound strange coming from me right now because you're looking at it, I'm reading all these personal development books, I'm talking about self-confidence and all these other things and nutrition and health. But when I first started out, I did not believe that I can do it. I really half-assed it. I was just testing out the waters, so to say. And that's one big issue, that I didn't have that self-confidence, I didn't have that self-esteem, and I wasn't reading about these things. I didn't watch any videos. I was just trying it a little bit to see what happens. And if I had the self-confidence and if I had the self-efficacy, I would have pushed myself more. I would have gotten better results. I would have had more confidence in what I was doing, and it would have been much more enjoyable as a journey itself, and I would have made much less mistakes if I would have just had that little bit more belief. And we can see, looking at the research of weight loss maintenance, we can look at just even books. I mean, great textbook about self-efficacy, Albert Bandura from the 70s. We can see that self-efficacy is one of those key predictors of success. And it's a really nice concept that not a lot of people talk about. I don't see a lot of people mention this. And I can see it now with my clients. You know, those people that are, let's say, had a lot of failures in the past. They had a lot of issues with finding a training plan that really fits their lifestyle. They've been, quote unquote, damaged a little bit by the marketers selling them all kinds of BS. They wasted hundreds of dollars on supplements and all this other nonsense every single month. They're now having a harder time adopting another plan and really giving it all they got and really committing to a plan that actually is backed up by science, that is a no bullshit plan, that is backed up by evidence. Now, because they've had those scars from all those negative experiences in the past. And that's where self-efficacy comes into play, because if you don't believe that you can actually do something, if you don't have that belief, it's often a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's often going to result in that nocebo effect. You know, you think that you're not going to be strong tomorrow, you're not strong, right? And this nocebo effect, I mean, it's actually been proven really well by science. I mean, certain people, they were given sugar pills and all of a sudden they got sick because the researchers told them that they infected them with some kind of bacteria. So it's a little bit crazy, but it does work. Similarly, I mean, nocebo is the opposite of placebo. We know that placebo works as well. So I wish I had a little bit more belief in myself. I'm gonna leave a bunch of resources on self-efficacy in the description below for you guys to check it out. Very interesting concept, very powerful, something that is a life changer if you figure it out. Now, the second thing that I wish I knew, and something that would have saved me a lot of trouble, was the difference between outcome and process-oriented goals. If I had just that idea, that would have been a life changer, because I was so obsessed with the outcome. I was just thinking about the end goal. I was just thinking about having abs. I was just thinking about benching this much. I was just thinking about looking more muscular. I did not pay any attention to the process, and it was just a grind. I was constantly grinding. I had no idea how to find enjoyment in the process, and I was so obsessed with the goal that I forgot to optimize the process in the first place. I forgot to focus on what's going to happen tomorrow because I was so obsessed what is going to be happening down the line. And I would often not even do certain things because I was always worried about the outcome. Is this going to affect the outcome? And we can't guarantee the outcome. That's one problem with the outcome and the process. The outcome isn't guaranteed. You have no idea how you're going to respond to a certain training plan. You have no idea whether a certain diet approach is going to work for you. And that's just the way it is, right? You cannot control the outcome. You can only see the process. And nobody talks about the process. Nobody talks about the grind. Nobody talks about how do you become more consistent with just going to the gym. The simple thing. How do you put in the reps? People just focus on the tip of the iceberg, and even in the media and on social media especially, you see a guy, he has a Lamborghini, he's super shredded, has a bunch of girls around him, and that's it. That's all of a sudden this guy has all these things. But nobody shows this guy's grind and work and all the reps, the thousands and thousands of things that he had to go through to get there. And there are exceptions, obviously. People who have this and just have inherited this, but majority, for the most part, have worked their asses off to get there. And we know that, and we like to think that it's a little bit easier. We like to think that it's a little bit random, but it's not, guys. Success is not random. Success happens as a clear outcome of a certain process that you've put into play. And even if you don't actually aim at a certain goal, if you adopt certain habits that you put in consistently on a day-to-day basis, let's say exercise, meditation, managing your calories and making sure that you're in a deficit, even if you just look at a week or even as a couple of days, that compound effect will get you to a certain goal anyway. Even if you don't visualize what's going to happen 5 years from now, you're going to get there anyway. Although, I do recommend having a clear vision and having goals on a yearly, on a 6-month basis, on a 3-month basis. It definitely does help a lot. Now, moving on to the final thing and the last thing I want to mention here, something that was really, really helpful for me, is truly understanding the power of your environment. I wish I knew this. It took me such a long time to figure this out, and I'm not just saying the food environment, although we're going to talk a bit about that, but I'm also talking about people, like the people around you, who you surround yourself with. And this is something that took me a very, very long time to figure out. I didn't really put in so much emphasis on that because I thought I had it under control. I thought I wasn't under the influence, but everybody is. Let's face it, if 5 people around you that you're spending the most time with, if they're not supportive of your goals, you're not going to achieve the goals, or it's very, very unlikely. Either you're going to have to stop hanging out with them as much as you did before, or something has to change. If these people aren't supporting you, you got to question that. You got to really sit down and ask these people, are you supporting my goals? Are you on my team, right? And a lot of people won't be on your team, and that's something that took me a very, very long time to cut out and find room and kind of free up that space for new people to come in who are supportive of my goals. And this is critical, not just in health and fitness, but also in business, in your relationships, in anywhere. There's a limited amount of energy and time and space you have. So you want to make sure to really leave that space for the people who deserve it, for people who support your goals. And now going back to nutrition, your food environment, you know that it is kind of setting you up for failure if, let's say in your house, you have all these temptations around you. And if your goal is to stick with a caloric deficit, for example, for a fat loss diet, if you have ice cream in the fridge, if there's cookies on every table, if there's a bunch of candy lying around, you're setting yourself up for failure. We know that the fastest way to change your habits is not necessarily to change what you're doing, but change what you're not doing by changing your environment, because your environment actually makes a lot of decisions for you. That's what the environment is for. It's kind of doing the decisions for you. It's doing the decision making for you. And you can kind of pre-plan that. You can figure it out. Hey, on a Thursday night, I'm gonna be tired, exhausted. I have a bunch of meetings that day. And if there's a tub of ice cream in my fridge, I'm probably gonna eat it, right? So you wanna make sure that that's not there, that you replace that with some good old berries, with some fruits, with some other things, with some protein, to make sure that that is congruent with your goal versus just having it and trying to wing it. And I see this happen all the time. And a lot of people will say, well, I live with my parents, I do this or that, people bring it to work. You can work around that, man. I know it's not gonna be super easy right now, but eventually you kind of find understanding. People are much more understanding if you give them a chance. And I know, because I've gone through the whole process, and I wish I've mastered my environment before I try to willpower my way. That's the thing. I try to willpower because I thought I could just plow through that. I thought I could meditate myself into having this unlimited willpower, but it just doesn't work like that. That is not how it works. your environment has much more power. It's constantly pinging at you until it finds a weakness, and that's gonna happen eventually, right? Because our willpower is just simply limited throughout the day, we don't have it as an unlimited resource. So I hope you guys enjoyed 3 things that I wish I knew that would have helped me become more consistent. Make sure to hit up on Instagram. I do a lot of live Q&As there, a lot of content, behind the scenes stories, so make sure to check that out. Aside from that, hit the like button below to support the channel. It really helps a lot with YouTube when those likes go up. Aside from that, leave me a comment where you're watching this from, which country you're from, and where you're watching this video. Aside from that, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Peace.